Long ago, in the far-off mystical land of Donegal, there lived a couple called Nancy and Seamus. They had been together for over 40 years, so naturally there was no love left in their marriage. One day, a younger man who lived in the village called Rory took an interest in Nancy.
Oh, Nancy, isn't it such a pity to see a fine, fit-looking woman like yourself married to that old bag of bones who's as full of pains and aches as an egg is full of meat? If you were free of Seamus, then you'd have your pick of the men in the parish. You could have the strongest man in the parish. Oh, but Seamus, he isn't going to die tomorrow, and or even 10 years from now, God help me, and sure, who would have me? Well, there's an easy fix for that. I'd have you, and you could kill him off. Oh, I wouldn't have his blood in my hands. You wouldn't need to.
So Rory came up with a plan to get rid of Seamus. You see, there was a prince living in the town known as Prince Connell. Though his family had once been powerful and wealthy, they had squandered all of their money, leaving Connell living in a tumble-down kip of a house that you wouldn't make your worst enemy sleep in, but we listed on daft.ie as spacious bedsit.
Oh, Prince Connell, what a pity to see such a prestigious lord such as yourself living in a tumbled old shack like this. I know it is, but what could I do about it? Oh, you could have old Seamus build you a castle. Seamus couldn't build me a castle. Sure he could. The problem with our Seamus is that he is so terribly lazy that you have to promise that you'll break every bone in his body to get him to do anything. Is that so? Aye, that's so. Just tell Seamus that he should have a castle built for you in 3 weeks, or you'll kill him.
And so Connell went to find Seamus straight away and told him to build him a castle in 3 weeks, and if he failed, he would brutally murder him.
Oh, how would I build a castle? What would I know about building a castle? Whether it was 33 years or 3 weeks, I couldn't build you a castle. I am reliably told that you are the best man and the quickest man at building a castle for miles around. Build me a castle or I will kill you.
This was all too much for Seamus. He collapsed to the ground in a heap of emotion and began gently weeping, when a wee red man, came up to him.
Ah, Seamus, what's wrong with you? There's no point telling you what's wrong with me, for there's nothing you could do for me. Oh, what you mean there's nothing I could do for you? Well, you might as well tell me. Anyway, sure, there's no harm in telling me what's wrong with you. I do anything I can to help you.
And so Seamus told the wee red man what Prince Connell had threatened to do.
I'll tell you what you'll do. Go to the Glen of the Fairies, and there, beneath the rocking stone, you'll find a white rod. Take the white rod and use it to mark out the bounds of a castle, and then return it to the Glen of the Fairies. By the time you get back, the castle will be there before your eyes.
The next day, just as the wee red man had said, there was a castle standing tall, much to the delight. The very next day, just as the wee red
You'll
man...
have to start again, just for him to be sitting in his car as well.
The next day, just as the wee red man had said, there was a castle standing tall, much to the delight of Prince Connell and Seamus, but much to Nancy's dismay. She went straight away to find the prince and told him that while the castle was fine, it could definitely do with a bit of sprucing up.
Do you know what this place really needs? It needs a beautiful river flowing past it, and some trees on that hill over there, and some birds singing in the trees. Do you know what it really, really needs? A sea view, the ocean roaring up beside it. All of those things would be lovely, but we are 100 miles away from the nearest river and 100 miles away from the ocean. I can't have all of those things. All the more reason why you should get those things. But I can't. Can't you?
Nancy then recommends her husband Seamus as an excellent landscape gardener and procurer of rare birds, reminding him that her husband always worked best when in constant fear for his life. So the prince goes off to find Seamus.
Top-notch work on the castle. It really looking stellar, Seamus. But, I think it needs a couple of extra touches. I think a beautiful river flowing past it would be nice, and some trees on that hill over there, and some bushes along the banks of the river. Birds, yes, birds singing in those bushes, and the ocean. I've always wanted a sea view. I think the ocean should roar right up beside the castle. 3 days should be long enough to get those things for me, and if you don't get them, I'll kill you.
The prince then flashed a smile, much like the smile people in customer service get when they know they've ruined your day, but honestly can't scrounge up enough cack to give. And Seamus, knowing that the nearest water source was over 100 miles away, naturally felt a bit defeated. He collapsed to the ground, gently weeping, when who should show up but the wee red man?
Ah, Seamus, what's wrong with you? Oh, there's no point telling you what's wrong with me. I know you got the castle for me, but there isn't a hope you could do this for me. Well, you might as well tell me what's wrong with you anyway. If I can't do you any good, then I won't do you any harm.
And so Seamus told the wee red man what the prince had asked him to do.
I'll tell you what you'll do. You go to the Glen of the Fairies, go right up to the fairy well. There will be a leaf, a cup, and a feather. Fill the cup with water from the well and take it along with the leaf and the feather to the castle. Throw the water in the cup as far away as you can. Then blow the leaf from your right hand and blow the feather from your left hand, and you'll see what you'll see.
And so Seamus went off and did just as the wee red man had told him. He took the cup of water and cast it away from himself as far as he could, and just then the water of the ocean began roaring up until it was lapping at the side of the castle, and the river that was 100 miles away to the other side of the castle began flowing gently past it out into the sea. He then took the leaf in his right hand, and as he blew it away, all the most beautiful trees and bushes sprang up on the riverbank. He then took a feather in his left hand, and as he blew the feather away, those trees and bushes were filled with the most beautiful, rare, and melodious birds, singing the most beautiful music you have ever heard, much like the musical stylings of Taylor Swift. And the very next day, the prince was delighted to discover that his castle now miraculously had a coastline. He thanked Seamus profusely. Nancy, meanwhile, was pissed, and she went straight away to talk to the prince.
Tonight, Conal, you should have a great big party for all the lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the country. There should be music, there should be dancing, and of course you'll have to get a play sham. What's a play sham? Oh, why, it's only the most wonderful, the most amusing thing. Everyone who's anyone has one, and if you don't have one, well, people will talk about you. They'll say, what's wrong with Conall? Why doesn't he have a Playsham? He should get one. Why has he no taste? Oh, well, I'll have to get one. So, but how does one acquire this Playsham? Oh, that's the easy part. You just tell Seamus to get you a Playsham by sunset this evening, or you will have him brutally disemboweled.
And so Prince Conall goes to Seamus. He thanks him for all his hard work, and when Seamus sheepishly asks him if there's anything else he needs him to do, Prince Conall fixes his eyes on him.
Well, now that you mention it, I could probably do with a Playsham. What's a Playsham? And how would I get such a thing? Oh, I don't know, but I'm told anyone has one, so I must get a Playsham too. How do you expect me to fetch you something when neither of us knows what it is? That sounds like a you problem. Needless to say, unless I have a Playsham by sunset this evening, I will kill you.
At this point, Seamus is just done. He collapses to the ground in the fetal position, when suddenly he heard a voice at his ear.
Ah, Seamus, what's wrong with you now? Oh, I'm done for. I might as well just die here. There's no hope left for me. You might have built me a castle. You might have brought a river and the ocean to the door of that castle. But you couldn't help me now. Well, you might as well tell me what it is. If I can't do you any good, I won't do you any harm either.
And so Seamus tells the wee red man that Prince Conall had ordered him to get a Playsham.
Oh, I'm done for. It's impossible to get something that never was and never will be. True, it is impossible to get something that never was. But I'll tell you what you should do. Tonight you should go to the head of the Glen of the Fairies. Yes, I'm glad that you're paying attention. And go right up to the fairy thorn, and there you will find a bone ring. Take the bone ring back to your house. There your wife and Rory will be chatting in the kitchen. Don't go in there. Trust me, don't go in there. Go into the cowshed instead and place the bone ring in the nose of the cow. And very soon you will have a Playsham.
Seamus returned home, passing by Nancy and Rory doing ungodly things to each other in the kitchen, but he paid it no mind. He went straight to the barn and put the bone ring into the cow's nose. Straight away, the cow began wooing and roaring, creating such a racket that both Nancy and Rory ran out to the barn, stark naked, and Nancy goes up, putting her hands on the cow to try and calm it down. But as soon as Nancy's hands touched the cow, they stuck to it like glue.
Rory, please, get me away from the cow.
Rory tried to pull Nancy away from the cow, but he merely found himself stuck to her as Seamus leapt out of his hiding place. He grabbed a riding crop that was conveniently located nearby, smacked it against Rory's arse, and screamed out,
Hop, hop, drive on the Plesham.
And so the cow went out of the barn, heading towards Prince Connell's castle. As they went around, both Nancy and Rory were moaning and wailing so loud that half of the village came out to see what was going on. And as they were passing by Rory's house, well, Rory's mother saw him, ran out and tried to pull him away from Nancy. And when she did, she found herself stuck to him. And then suddenly her husband came running out after her.
Don't worry, dear, I'll save you.
But as he tried to grab onto her, he slipped, grabbed her legs, and when he stood up, he was now wheeling his wife like some sort of human wheelbarrow. And did Seamus care? He did not, for he just screamed on.
Hop, hop, drive on the Plesham.
And on the Plesham went, until they were passing by another barn, where a farmer, watching Nancy and Rory, tied to the cow, passing by him, flipped up a shovelful of manure and threw it right at them.
I'd like to interject at this point.
Go ahead.
Some people like to say that the farmer threw the manure out of some kind of malice. But personally, I believe he was just trying to give Nancy something to cover her décolletage.
'Twas well covered. The manure splashed across her chest, and when the farmer came to retrieve his shovel, sure didn't he stick to it, joining the Plesham, and on they went, passing by a tailor's house. The tailor ran out, tried to separate them, but found himself caught up in the mix, and on they went passing the cobbler's house. And it just so happens that the cobbler, well, he was owed money by the tailor. As soon as he sees him at the end of the conga line, he runs out to give him the old shakedown.
Where's my money, you Amadan?
And as soon as he put hands upon the tailor, he found he was stuck to him, leaving the two entwined in a rather tender embrace. And on they went, passing by the blacksmith's house. And when the blacksmith saw the tailor, with his arms around the cobbler, he ran out, crying in jealous rage, for reasons we don't really have time to explain, and tried to separate them.
He got his hammer in between the tailor and the cobbler. But this did nothing, only get the blacksmith stuck to the hammer and the hammer stuck to the tailor in some sort of twisted tradesman menage a trois.
And on they went. And as they were approaching the castle, they went by the large house of a gentleman. As soon as the gentleman saw the Plesham passing by, he ran out and grabbed onto the blacksmith, trying to pull him away from the group, but found that he was stuck there.
Now, the gentleman's wife was feeling very left out when she saw her husband feeling up the blacksmith, so she grabbed hold of the lot of them as well.
And their children, all 9 of them, for God love her, she was a fine Catholic woman, well, they thought it was all a game. So all 9 of the children piled onto the back of the Plesham, and at this stage, Seamus was frankly going mad with the power, and he screamed out to all,
Hop, hop, drive on the Plesham!
And on it went. And as they drew closer to Connell's castle, the noise and racket they were making was so loud that Prince Connell, his ministers, his servants, in fact all the people in the house, went rushing into the window to see what was going on.
Connell turns to his Prime Minister saying, Won't you go out there and do something about all this?
And what do you want me to do about it, sir?
Don't they teach you anything about dealing with the common people these days? Use that whip over there.
And so the First Minister ran out, trying to use the whip against the large party of people approaching Connell's castle. Unfortunately, as so often happens, the party whip was absolutely useless. He got caught up in the Plesham and screamed out to his ministers to come and rescue him.
As you would expect, the ministers used the opportunity of the Prime Minister's absence to lead a coup against him, and in the ensuing power struggle, all of Parliament got caught up in the Plesham.
The Plesham drew closer to the castle now. Connell yelled to his servants to try and stop it or move it away, but it was no good, for as they ran up to the Plesham, they too joined it, so that the Plesham was now more than a mile long. It then crashed in through the gates of the castle. And just at that moment, it all began to tumble away and disappear. The ring rolled out of the nose of the cow. The Plesham fell apart. Arms, legs, and I'm sure other extremities as well, flew out in all directions. As the castle disappeared, leaving behind only the small sod house that had been there before, and Prince Connell went inside of his sod house, a very sorry man.
Everyone else skulked away in shame, for the whole country was laughing at them. Nancy went east, and Rory went west, and they were never heard from again.
As for Seamus, well, he went back to his little cabin, where he lived, happy, alone, and contented for the rest of his days. Because with a little bit of help from the wee red man, they accomplished great things together. And I think that really is the message of why we're here today.
Together, we can.
Κόκκινη κλωστή δεμένη.
Στην ανέμητη λιγμένη.
Δώσ' της κλώτσα να γυρίσει.
Παραμύθι να αρχινήσει.
Μια φορά και ένα καιρό ζούσε ένας ξυλοκόπος μέσα στο δάσος, μαζί με τη γυναίκα του και τα 3 του παιδιά. Όμως ο ξυλοκόπος, αντί να είναι ευτυχισμένος, ήταν πάρα πολύ δυστυχισμένος. Κάθε μέρα, κάθε ώρα, τα παιδιά του μαλώναν μεταξύ τους, χωρίς λόγο και αιτία. Δεν άντεξε άλλο τους καυγάδες και μια μέρα τους είπε «Παιδιά μου, πρέπει να πάμε μέσα στο δάσος όλοι μαζί να σας δείξω κάτι». Τα παιδιά ακολούθησαν τον πατέρα τους και ανέβηκαν επάνω στο δάσος και σαν έφτασαν τους είπε στα παιδιά του «Παιδιά μου, πηγαίνετε μέσα στο δάσος να μου φέρετε ξερά κλαδιά». Τα παιδιά άκουσαν τον πατέρα τους και πήγαν πάλι στο δάσος και έψαχναν να βρούνε ξερά κλαδιά. Μα πάλι καυγαδίζανε. Ύστερα, το απόγευμα, κουβάλισαν ένα μεγάλο δεμάτι ξερά κλαδιά και το βάλανε μπροστά στα πόδια του πατέρα του. «Παιδιά μου, πάρτε από ένα κλαδί στα χέρια σας». Έσκυψαν τα παιδιά, πήραν ένα κλαδί στα χέρια και ο πατέρας τους είπε «Τώρα προσπαθήστε να το σπάσετε». Τσακ! Έκανε το κλαδί. «Παιδιά μου, τώρα πάρτε 2 κλαδιά στα χέρια σας». Και τα παιδιά έσκυψαν, πήραν 2 κλαδιά στα χέρια τους και προσπάθησαν να το σπάσουν. Τσακ! «Τώρα, παιδιά μου», τους είπε ο πατέρας, «πάρτε 3 κλαδιά στα χέρια σας». Έσκυψαν τα παιδιά, πήραν 3 κλαδιά στα χέρια τους, προσπάθησαν να το σπάσουν, μα δεν τα κατάφεραν. Ύστερα γύρισε ο πατέρας και τους είπε «Παιδιά μου, σήμερα πήρατε ένα μάθημα, πως η δύναμη κρύβεται στην ενότητα. Να είστε πάντα μονιασμένοι και μην ξαναμαλώσετε ποτέ».
Σε αυτό το δάσος που τα παιδιά κόβαν τα ξερά κλαδιά, κυκλοφορούσε μια αλεπού. Πεινασμένη, ξενιστικωμένη, ξαφνικά βλέπει μπροστά της μια κλιματαριά φορτωμένη με τσαμπιά σταφύλια. Ζουμερά όρημα σταφύλια. Άρχισε η αλεπού να πηδάει για να τα φτάσει. Πηδούσε, ξαναπηδούσε, αλλά δεν τα έφτανε. «Α, δεν βαριέσαι. Αγουρίδες είναι, ξινά», είπε η αλεπού και έφυγε μακριά. Από τότε λένε «Όσα δεν φτάνει η αλεπού, τα κάνει κρεμαστάρια».
Αυτή την Αλεπού λοιπόν συνάντησε μία φορά ο Νίκος και τη λέει «Άντε κύριε Αλεπού, πάμε να προσκυνήσουμε το βασιλιά μας, το λιοντάρι. Δεν έμαθες ότι είναι άρρωστος?» «Σιγά, και ποιος είναι αυτός να πάω εγώ να τον προσκυνήσω?» Ο Νίκος έφυγε με σκοπό να πάει να πει τι του είπε η Αλεπού. Όταν λοιπόν μπήκε μέσα στη σπηλιά, λέει στο λιοντάρι «Βασιλέα μου, η Αλεπού είπε το και το για σένα». Αλλά εκείνη τη στιγμή μπαίνει μέσα η Αλεπού, λαχανιασμένη, προσκυνάει το βασιλιά και λέει Βασιλέα μου, συγγνώμη που άργησα, αλλά να, έτρεχα να βρω τον καλύτερο γιατρό για σένα. Πήγα μέχρι μακριά να σου φέρω το καλύτερο φάρμακο». «Μπα κύριε Αλεπού», λέει το λιοντάρι, Και το βρήκε στο γιατρό. Τι σου είπε? Να, βασιλιά μου είπε να πάρεις το τομάρι ενός λύκου και τότε θα γίνεις καλά. Και το λιοντάρι την πίστεψε και πήρε το τομάρι του λύκου, το ντύθηκε και έγινε καλά. Και τότε βγήκε έξω από τη σπηλιά και λέει στα άλλα τα ζώα: «Είδατε, ο λύκος ήθελε το κακό μου και συκοφαντούσε την Αλεπού. Και η Αλεπού ήθελε τελικά το καλό μου. Γι' αυτό λένε ότι όποιος σκάβει το λάκκο του άλλου πέφτει μέσα».
Και ζήσαν αυτοί καλά
και
και
εμείς
εμείς
καλύτερα.
καλύτερα.
Zwei Königssöhne gingen einmal auf Abenteuer aus und gerieten in ein wildes, ein wüstes Leben, so dass sie gar nicht wieder nach Haus fanden. Der jüngste Königssohn, den alle nur den Dummling nannten, der machte sich auf und suchte seine Brüder. Und wie er sie endlich fand, da verspotteten sie ihn, dass er in seiner Einfalt durch die Welt kommen möge, und sie zwei könnten nicht durchkommen und wären doch viel klüger. Sie zogen alle drei miteinander fort und kamen an einen Ameisenhaufen. Die zwei Ältesten, die wollten darin herumstochern und sehen, wie die kleinen Tiere in ihrer Not ihre Eier forttrügen. Der Jüngste aber sprach: »Lasst die Tiere in Frieden. Ich leid's nicht, dass ihr sie stört.« Da zogen sie weiter und kamen an einen Teich. Auf dem schwammen viele, viele Enten. Und die zwei Ältesten, die wollten ein paar fangen und braten. Der Jüngste aber sprach: »Lasst die Tiere in Frieden. Ich leid's nicht, dass ihr sie tötet.« Sie zogen weiter und kamen an einen Bienenstock. Der war so voller Honig, dass am Stamm der Honig herunterlief. Die zwei Ältesten, die wollten ein Feuer entfachen und die Bienen ausräuchern, damit sie an den Honig kämen. Der Jüngste aber sprach: »Lasst die Tiere in Frieden, ich leid's nicht, dass ihr sie verbrennt.« Da zogen sie weiter und kamen endlich an ein Schloss, wo in den Ställen lauter steinerne Pferde standen. Sie gingen durch alle Säle, aber es war kein Mensch zu sehen. Bis ganz am Ende. Da war eine kleine Tür und in der war ein kleines Lädchen. Und wie sie hindurchsahen, da konnten sie ein kleines graues Männchen sehen. Sie riefen es an, einmal, zweimal, aber es rührte sich nicht. Wie sie es aber ein drittes Mal riefen, da stand das graue Männchen auf, öffnete die Schlösser und kam heraus. Es führte die drei Brüder an eine reich gedeckte Tafel. Und als sie sich satt gegessen hatten, da brachte das graue Männchen einen jeden in sein eigenes Schlafgemach. Es sprach aber kein Wort. Am andern Morgen, da kam das graue Männchen zu dem Ältesten, führte ihn an eine steinerne Tafel, auf der 3 Aufgaben geschrieben standen, wodurch das Schloss erlöst werden konnte. Die erste Aufgabe war: Finde die Perlen der Königstochter im Wald unter dem Moos, 1000 an der Zahl. Wer aber suche und fände bis zum Sonnenuntergang nicht alle, der würde zu Stein verwandelt. Na, der Älteste ging los und suchte den ganzen Tag unter dem Moos. Wie aber die Sonne unterging, da hatte er nicht mehr als 100 Perlen gefunden, und es geschah, wie auf der Tafel geschrieben stand. Er wurde zu Stein verwandelt. Am nächsten Morgen kam die Reihe an den Zweitältesten. Auch er suchte im Moos, und bis die Sonne unterging, da hatte er nicht mehr als 200 Perlen gefunden, und er ward zu Stein. Endlich kam die Reihe an den Jüngsten. Auch er suchte im Moos, es war aber so schwer, die Perlen zu finden. Da setzte er sich auf einen Stein und weinte. Und wie er so saß und weinte, da kam auf einmal der Ameisenkönig, den er einst gerettet hatte, mit seinem ganzen Ameisenvolk, 5000 an der Zahl. Und die kleinen Tiere, die suchten im Moos, und es dauerte gar nicht lange. Da hatten sie die Perlen gefunden und auf einen Haufen zusammengetragen. Die zweite Aufgabe war, den Schlüssel zur Schlafkammer der Königstochter aus dem See zu holen. Ja, und wie der Jüngste nun zu dem See kam, da schwammen all die Enten herbei, denen er das Leben gerettet hatte. Sie tauchten unter und hoben den Schlüssel heraus. Die dritte Aufgabe aber war die schwerste. Finde unter den 3 schlafenden Königstöchtern die jüngste und liebste heraus. Sie glichen aber alle einander bis aufs Haar und waren durch nichts verschieden, außer dass sie, bevor sie sich schlafen gelegt hatten, verschiedene Süßigkeiten genascht hatten. Die Älteste ein wenig Sirup, die Zweitälteste ein Stückchen Zucker und die Jüngste ein Löffelchen Honig. Und wie der junge Königssohn noch dastand und schaute und überlegte, welche denn wohl die jüngste und liebste der 3 schlafenden Königstöchter sein könnte, da kam durch das Fenster die Bienenkönigin hereingeflogen von dem Volk, das er gerettet hatte. Und sie versuchte einen Mund von einer jeden. Und zum Schluss blieb sie auf dem Mund sitzen, der den Honig gegessen hatte. Da wusste der jüngste Königssohn, welches die jüngste und liebste war. Ja, und da war das Schloss von seinem Zauber erlöst. Und jeder, der zu Stein geworden war, bekam seine lebendige Gestalt wieder. Und der jüngste Königssohn, der heiratete die jüngste und liebste der Königstöchter und ward nach ihres Vaters Tod selbst König über das Reich. Seine 2 Brüder aber, die heirateten die anderen beiden Königstöchter. Und so lebten sie noch lange glücklich und zufrieden.
The Old Animals and the Thieves, Le Vieux Bête et le Voleur, τα γερικά ζώα και οι κλέφτες.
Μια φορά και έναν καιρό ήταν ένας γάιδαρος πολύ γερασμένος και το αφεντικό του θέλησε να το πετάξει στον κρεμό. Σαν το μάθε ο γάιδαρος το έσκασε από το σπίτι κι είπε να γίνει τραγουδιστής.
Once upon a time, there was a donkey who was very old, and his master decided to get rid of him. But the donkey noticed that it was not a good wind that was blowing, and ran off. As a matter of fact, he had already made up his mind to become a singer.
Εκεί που πήγαινε, απάντησε ένα γέρικο σκύλο. «Πού πας μοναχός εδώ στις ερημιές», του είπε. «Άσε, αφεντικό μου, με παράτησε εδώ γιατί γέρασα και δεν μπορώ να κυνηγώ λαγούς». «Μωρέ, δεν έρχεσαι μαζί μου να γίνουμε τραγουδιστάδες». «Έρχομαι», είπε ο σκύλος και κίνησαν τώρα και πήγαιναν και οι δυο μαζί.
On his way, he noticed a dog crying. "Ho, ho, ho! My master wanted to throw me in the river because I'm too old and I cannot hunt rabbits anymore." "Oh," said the donkey, "my master wanted to throw me over the edge. You know what? Why don't you come with me to become a singer? After all, two is better than one."
Εκεί που πήγαιναν, απάντησαν μια γάτα που έκλαιγε. «Γιατί κλαις?» τη ρώτησαν. «Αχ, η κυρά μου, πια μου είπε ότι γέρασα και με έδιωξε από το σπίτι. Δεν μπορώ να κυνηγάω ποντικούς». «Μωρέ, δεν έρχεσαι μαζί μας να πάμε να γίνουμε τραγουδιστάδες?» «Καλή ιδέα, έρχομαι», είπε η γάτα και κίνησαν τώρα και οι τρεις μαζί.
In their way, they met an old cat sitting by the side of the road with a face like 3 days of rainy weather. "Oh, what has crossed you?" asked the donkey. "My mistress wanted to drown me. My teeth are dull and I cannot chase around mice anymore. So I ran off. But where should I go now?" "Oh, why don't you come with us? We are going to become singers. After all, 3 is better than 2. "I'm coming," said the cat, and they set off, all 3 of them.
Εκεί που πήγαιναν, συνάντησαν και έναν κόκορα. Πού κλαίγε ο καημένος και έτρεχε σαν τρελός. «Μωρέ, πού πας έτσι?» «Αχ, το αφεντικό μου, το αφεντικό μου, προσπαθεί να με πιάσει, να με κάνει σούπα». «Δεν έρχεσαι μαζί μας να πάμε να γίνουμε τραγουδιστάδες?» «Έρχομαι», είπε ο κόκορας και έτσι κίνησαν τώρα και οι 4 μαζί.
In their way, they met a rooster running with all his might and crying, "Oh, my master got a new young rooster and now wants to make a soup of me." "Oh, why don't you come with us? We are going to become singers," said the donkey. "After all, 4 is better than 3. "Oh, I'm coming," said the rooster, and they set off all together.
Πήραν το δρόμο, το δρομί, το μονοπάτι και το μονοπάτι τους έβγαλε σε ένα δάσος. Και στο δάσος βρήκαν ένα σπίτι. Σαν πλησίασαν, ο γάιδαρος έβαλε τα 2 του μπροστινά ποδάρια πάνω στον τοίχο. Πάνω στο γάιδαρο, πήδηξε ο σκύλος. Πάνω στο σκύλο η γάτα και πάνω στη γάτα ο κόκορας. Για να δει μέσα από το παραθύρι.
They went back and forth until they arrived to a forest. And they prepared to sleep there. But suddenly they saw a light at a distance. They went closer and found a house. Then the donkey put his front legs against the wall. The dog jumped on the donkey. The cat jumped on the dog. The rooster jumped on the cat. and look through the window. Σε εκείνο το σπίτι μένανε κλέφτες και αφού είχαν κάνει τις κλεψιές τους, κάθονταν στο τραπέζι να φάνε. Σαν τους είδε ο κόκορας, σκέφτηκε ότι επιτέλους βρήκαν κάποιους να ακούσουν το ταλέντο τους και άρχισε να λαλεί δυνατά. Σαν άκουσε ο σκύλος να λαλεί ο κόκορας, άρχισε και αυτός να καυγίζει, η γάτα να νιαουρίζει και ο γάιδαρος να γκαρίζει. Πω σαματά στρανός γινόταν. Κικυρίκου! Γουβ, γουβ, γουβ. Μιαου, μιαου. Several thieves had entered the house, and after stealing in the room, they were now sitting at the table and eating. The rooster noticed them, turned to his companions, and said to them, "It's showtime!" Then he started to growl. The dog started to bark, the cat started to meow, and the donkey started to bray. And they made a fuss, such a terrible big fuss. Cook-a-doodle-doo! Meow, meow! Woof, 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 woof! Hee-haw! Hee-haw! Σαν οι κλέφτες ακούσαν αυτό το σαματά, το βάλαν στα πόδια. Οι 4 φίλοι μπήκαν μέσα στο σπίτι, φάγανε και ήπιανε και σαν χορτάσαν, είπαν να κοιμηθεί ο καθένας εκεί που ήταν συνηθισμένος. Η γάτα δίπλα στο τζάκι, ο σκύλος κοντά στην πόρτα, ο γάιδαρος στην αυλή και ο κόκορας στο κλαδί. The thieves were so frightened that they ran away. The animals then got into the house, they sat at the table, they ate, and when they had had enough, they went to sleep, each according to his nature and his desire. The cat near the fireplace, the dog behind the door, the donkey outside in the yard, and the rooster on a branch. Οι κλέφτες, σαν πέρασε ο φόβος τους, επέστρεψαν στο σπίτι τους να δουν τι είχε γίνει. Σαν μπήκαν, πήγαν ευθεία στο τζάκι για να πάρουν κανένα κάρβουνο να ανάψουνε τη λάμπα. Μα τα κάρβουνα ήταν σβηστά και το μόνο που είδανε ήταν τα 2 μάτια της γάτας που γυάλιζαν στο σκοτάδι. Παν κοντά και απλώνουν το χέρι τους. Μα εκείνη την ώρα, νιάρ! Πετάγεται η γάτα που τρόμαξε καημένη και τους χύμιξε στα μούτρα. Σαν κάνανε οι κλέφτες να φύγουν έξω από το σπίτι, ο σκύλος τους άρπαξε από τα μπατζάκια τους. Και σαν βγήκαν στην αυλή, ο γάιδρος τους έδωσε μια κλωτσιά στα πισινά που πήραν τούμπες 2 και 3. Και ο κόκορας κατέβηκε από το κλαδί και άρχισε να φωνάζει «Κικυρίκο, κικυρί!» που τους ξεκούφανε. Οι κλέφτες πήραν τον δρόμο φοβισμένοι. But the thieves, as soon as their fear was gone, they went back to the house to claim back what they had stolen. They broke through the window and went straight to the fireplace to get some coal to light the lamp. But the coals were out. They saw the cat's eyes gleaming in the darkness. And then the cat, meow, jumped on their faces and scratched them. The thieves went back and then the dog grabbed them by the pants. They ran out and then the donkey gave them a big kick. And the rooster, when he saw them going away, started again to crow, "Cock-a-doodle-doo! We're free, my friends! Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Οι 4 φίλοι μείναν εκεί στο σπίτι. Μέχρι τα στερνά τους, λένε. Και περνούσαν μια χαρά και οι 4. Και τρώγαν και πίνανε και μας δεν μας δίνανε. the thieves never went back to that house again. The donkey, the dog, the cat and the rooster stayed there together till the end of their days as masters of the house. And the person who just told that, her mouth is still warm.